Good evening, everyone. It's Isabel from Autism Untouched. A very tired mum here tonight. It's almost bedtime for Matthew, and it's almost time for me to clean up in the kitchen. I was sitting tonight after I ate dinner with my family, and these words just came up in my mind, and I knew I had to do something, I had to say something about it. It's the words honesty and reality. I'm searching for the right words because I want to really bring this message to you accurately. And I don't want to sugarcoat anything and tell you that autism is not a challenge, that an autistic child is always going to be going forward, progressing. I think the reason why I'm talking to you about this tonight, and I can't do anything else until I have said my part, is because I was thinking back to the time that I got Matthew's diagnosis of severe autism. And that was the pediatrician, a speech therapist, a physiotherapist, and an occupational therapist. They all did assessments with Matthew and a psychiatrist, and that's the conclusion they got to. But they, this is the way that it was said to me. And this is why I'm talking to you, because you've got to be so careful not to be basically put into a depression or into a sense of discouragement and feeling downhearted because of the way doctors say something. What I'm telling you is that medical professionals, teachers, their honesty does not mean that it has to be your reality, because people's moods change every day. People are not perfect, they make mistakes. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't base your feelings and your child's future and life on somebody else's opinion, even if it's a medical opinion. Look, we all go to a doctor when we think there's something wrong, and we go for tests, and it's nothing different with autism. But with autism, the difference is, if you have a flu or bronchitis, there's certain symptoms your body has, and the doctor will give you antibiotics, or if you don't need it, they'll tell you to rest. It's different with autism. There's not that much information about autism out there. We know the information that we do have, that we can read and Google, and the physical aspect of autism, but nobody really knows why the brain of an autistic child works the way it does. There's no explanation for it. So already there, the day that I received my son Matthew's diagnosis, I've talked to you about this before, but shortly for you that have not watched my videos yet, uh, I was told that he will never be able to dress himself because his muscle tone is really bad. He couldn't make any eye contact. Um, it was really, really, really grim. They told me that he'll probably always be nonverbal because he was already 3, and I had another assessment done when he was 5, and it was the same thing, saying he's probably not going to talk because he's been nonverbal up to that point. And that was them being honest in their medical opinion. That's what I mean is, when your son's teachers or specialists tell you your son has got this disability or that, or your daughter has got this challenge or this problem, you need to go research that, because people can make mistakes. This is, I want you to listen. I'm telling you this because it can be the difference between your child being successful in life and your child being a failure. Because if a doctor tells you, like the pediatrician told me, Matthew will have trouble writing and reading, he will have trouble with coordination, he'll have trouble with things like riding a bike, he'll have trouble with speech, he won't talk because he's been nonverbal. They basically told me not to have any hope for him to ever have a normal life and do things normal kids do. And that was them being honest in their opinion. That's the observation they made. Now, had I made that my reality, you would not have seen the progress Matthew has made. Do yourself a favor and watch the videos of how he is progressing, where he was completely nonverbal, trying to communicate, only making noises. Now he's saying words and sentences. Matthew was 6 years old before I heard him say mum the first time. I didn't even hear it. My older daughter, was with him in the car, and I was in the grocery store, and I came out, and he looked out the window and he said to her, Mummy's coming. And she was overwhelmed and so excited, and she tried to get him to say it again, but he wouldn't. Yes. So, honesty, it does not mean if a doctor or a teacher gives you the honest opinion about your child. I'm being no disrespect or devaluing the input teachers have, or doctors or specialists or therapists. I'm not saying that. But it is just an opinion, because people change. That's what they don't tell you, because they want to give you the worst case scenario, thinking that, don't get your hopes up for your child, thinking that because you have all these very, very low expectations of your child, anything better than that will be good. But what they don't understand, and you and I know that, when they tell you that, 5 years ago, or it was 4 years ago, Matthew's 7 now, when I heard all that information, put that together with a business that me and my husband had that we had to close down. Things were really bad at that point. It felt like my world was gonna cave in. But as we got back onto our feet, I started researching. And that is when I realized that their honesty is not Matthew's reality. Because I can tell you now, Matthew's 7 now. He's coloring in his painting. He is using a stapler. He can cut out with his scissors. He wrote Dad on his father's Father's Day card all by himself. He is singing. He can remember nursery rhymes. He's starting to do things at school on his own, individually. He can work on a computer. He can work on his iPad. He can dress himself. He's completely toilet trained since he was 5, night and day. All those things is his reality. Had I based his reality on the honesty of those doctors, they most probably have good intentions. But it's the same with the expectation they have. I can see it because I'm passionate, and I've seen a lot of autistic kids do amazing things and achieve amazing things, and I know it's going to be the same for Matthew. I don't go to school with him every day now thinking, what's going to go wrong today? What is he going to do wrong today? No. I send him to school with the expectation, he's going to do more today than what he was able to do yesterday. Because I've decided that my reality is going to be based on my faith in God and my faith in my child. I believe Matthew is destined to achieve great things. And I want you to start expecting the same for your child. The main reason why I am saying these things to you tonight and why I couldn't go and do anything else is because I see on a daily basis how parents take on that honesty. I get in contact with other autistic kids' parents, and it becomes a burden because they hear it enough times that your child is a problem, he's doing this and that wrong. And instead of looking at the progress that child is making, and instead of being positive, they start basing their reality on the honesty of professionals, and they forget that their child has got potential and that they have a say. The moment you just accept what everybody tells you is the moment those words become your reality. I learned it the hard way. That's why I'm saying this to you. Because when Matthew was diagnosed, I was so thankful after all the trauma that he and me went through with him, trying to find a kindergarten, not knowing what's wrong with him, why he can't cope. And when I knew that he when I knew he has autism, I could start explaining to people that took care of him, to the kindergarten, the third one that he went to, they could accommodate him and they could be more understanding. And what I've learned is, even in a special needs school, the reality of an autistic child, their reality is your expectation. I'm telling you, I know. I've seen this so many times. I've seen extreme cases. I can't tell you the location of the places I've visited because that would be compromising the privacy of the students, but I've seen very, very severe autistic kids that's older than Matthew, that comes from a facility or school, not being able to talk, dribbling, being really severely autistic. And with the right guidance and attention, I've seen those kids thrive. I've seen those kids blossoming, coming alive, starting to talk. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm asking you, don't mistake honesty for your reality. Appreciate the help therapy that you get. I do too. But it doesn't mean that we are victims here of people's honesty. Let's face it. If we had to listen to everybody's opinion about our kids, imagine your expectation of your child. There would be nothing. So stop listening to everybody and start listening to your child. Take courage. No child is so severe that they cannot be successful in life later. I'm telling you, it is often 99% of the time children that become more severe. I've heard that people say, oh, they become more severe when they're older. No. I've been around enough autistic children, teenagers, adults to tell you that when they are guided from a young age, early intervention is good, but also when they are guided and supported and encouraged from a young age, they grow and they blossom. They do not become more severely autistic. I've never seen a child that gets love and affection and support that gets worse and not better. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.